as we talk about poultry, small flock poultry production has been present in the U.S. for decades as a small rural venture mostly. However, in the past few years, there have been a resurgence of interest for a variety of people, more than just the rural background. So this has changed just a bit. There's a variety of ways to be involved in poultry production, and most of them are appropriate for small acreages and on much less land than 50 acres. So a very successful venture for someone who's looking into a small acreage situation. All right. So interest in small poultry is broad-reaching. Many interests begin with in the hobby category, where people wish to reconnect with their food by supplying their household with eggs. So it's kind of a hobby venture. It's a backyard venture. Okay, but egg production can be a very profitable enterprise, even on the small scale. So in Oklahoma, we can sell eggs from the farm without really any regulation. There are probably a few forms that you need to fill out from Oklahoma Department of Ag, but there really is no regulation as far as you selling their eggs from the chickens that you raise on your farm. Now, if you would like to get into a retail outlet, sell at a farmer's market, anywhere off your farm, taking eggs to people, then there are some things that you need to go through. And all of that, all of those things to fill out, those forms and regulations are on the Oklahoma Department of Ag website. And I'll talk about that here in a bit. There is other options for a bit larger enterprise in broiler production, both on the pastured side, and as you can see here, conventionally, fast-growing and slow-growing birds, as well as organic or other value-added production practices. There really is a lot of opportunity here. Another opportunity for large-scale production would be where you are paid for the care of the birds by a larger entity. And that we have a really good resource as far as a fact sheet, as far as considerations for potential growers from the broiler standpoint. And here, I won't talk much more about this because this is a larger scale production, but you can do this very, very easily on 50 acres. But it is another very viable opportunity. So in small flock production, there are a few things I wanted to mention that are recipes for success for a person to be more successful in small flock production. So the first I would consider, and one of the most important things, would be to first, before you even buy any birds, would be to research viable markets in the area that you live. Very important. You can come up with a really fantastic idea, but if there's no market for that product, that's not going to be very profitable for you. So are there certification programs where you can apply, such as organic? That is a certification program, but there are others depending on where you live. Develop a plan. Obviously, for all of these ventures, it's very important to develop a plan on where you will market your product, how you will do it, what's going on with that. From the production side, if you do step beyond the research stage, obtaining stocks from an NPIP approved hatchery is very important. NPIP is an acronym for National Poultry Improvement Plan. This plan monitors hatcheries for pullorum typhoid, which is a disease that is spread through the egg to newly hatched chicks. So it's also when a hatchery is NPIP approved, it does show that they have good vaccination protocols, they have very good stocks. So that is one really good pointer if you're looking to get into this. And you can look more into that in the website I have listed here. Another thing would be to, before even getting stock, would be to review local zoning regulations, okay, especially for people who live on the edge of town, in town, that sort of thing. There are ordinances that may not allow you to get exactly the type of animals that you're wanting. For instance, a lot of towns or a lot of places out on the edge of town do not allow roosters. They may limit you on the number of birds you can have. So those are some things to look into, even if you are in a rural area, maybe with some neighbors or something like that. So look into zoning regulations. And then having the ability to provide your birds with the appropriate and basic need of shelter is very essential. You have to be able to provide this for them. As JJ said, goats need protection. Birds do as well, no matter if you're doing a pasture situation or you're a backyard egg producer. You do need some protection from weather as well as predators. And predators may not just be raccoons and possums. You have to remember the neighborhood dog, the friendly cat down the street or down the road. Those are predators as well, and so you need to protect your birds. And then obviously providing nutrition specific to the stage of production and the end product. So if you are wanting to produce eggs, you want to provide a nutrition that's appropriate for egg production. Broilers will take a different ration, and so that's something to really look into, and especially the availability of those feed products. So here's some general poultry requirements. I won't go specifically through all of this, but it gives some requirements for housing, labor, which are obvious, but then space for birds that are producing eggs versus broiler production. Whether you're raising small breeds or large breeds, that will vary. And then the feed at the bottom just gives you an idea as far as budgeting. How much feed will you need per month in a roundabout way? It really gives a good idea of what's required. Here is a budget I obtained from the NCAT Pasture Poultry Budget. NCAT is a National Center for Appropriate Technology. Here at Oklahoma State, we don't have a pasture poultry budget, but this is something that we found that is a very viable budget, and so I have used this, and so feel that it's very good. It is from 2010. However, I feel that the costs on here are very realistic, and I'll talk a little bit about those. So as you can see here, we are looking at fast growth, organic, and slow growth broilers. Okay, so this is pastured broilers, and so these prices per pound for each of these probably have gone up and will vary depending on the area that you're at. Okay, so organic poultry, from what I've seen, you will get a little bit more for that in the grocery store. Something to keep in mind. Okay. The 999 birds that they are selling on this budget is very realistic to Oklahoma, where custom exempt poultry slaughter is limited to less than 1,000 birds. If you're wishing to go above that amount, there are different levels. They just increase in the regulations that you need to comply to. And then if we look at the fixed costs, all of those are very realistic from what I have seen. All the way from the brooder house down to the brooder and dolly to move the pens, very realistic of what you would be looking at. However, depending on the certification that you're looking to get into, here shows organic certification is necessary, $500 to certify to be organic. Depending on what market you're wanting to get into, may be different. So this slide shows the variable costs. And these are the prices that likely have changed since this was made. So the big ticket items that will probably have increased in price would be your initial cost of chicks, feed cost, no matter what your livestock you're dealing with, will be your highest cost. And then marketing likely will be another cost that will have increased. And so those net income per bird will vary as far as those large ticket items. And then a really good explanation of this budget and what goes into this type of budget as well as others can be found at the website I have listed below. So for more information, obviously this was a very fast brief presentation, but for more information on the poultry side, the best place to find really good refereed factual information would be extension.org/poultry. I have found this to be a very great source of information that's not just opinion based. Okay. There are YouTube videos focused on poultry production and Oklahoma slaughter and egg regulations at the Ag Econ website under e-farm management. There is a summary of those Oklahoma slaughter and egg regulations. Maybe interesting for you to look into if you're interested in that. And then the NCAT website with the budget info. I have listed that on here as well. And with that, that's all I have as far as the poultry goes.